All right. It is time for the live stream. Let's go. Got to stay on brand. I think I've opened every live stream like that. One of these moves. Wolvie, thanks for popping in and saying hi. I appreciate that. Tomorrow, it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, this evening, if you are still around, I will be on the Writing Quest live stream. You can find more information in the Discord. It'll be a lot of fun there too. Today's a chill day. Yesterday was a crazy live stream. Today's a chill day. You know? So Coral, at Writing Quest, it may just end up being us writing and chatting. That'd be okay. That'd be okay by me. Let me share my screen here. Let's talk stories. So this is going to be cool because it means we can just hang out, and I would love to hear about your stories as well. Are you still writing? Is this just Coral? Is this also our other friend from Writing Quest or our other friend from Writing Quest? Because I know Coral Sands has got a fun sounding story in the Discord. How's the progress going? Just Coral, okay. Yeah, was it Luna? Was that the name of the story? Oh, excuse me. Is that the name of your story? Lana. What's your progress at? What's your word count at? How you feeling? Let me know how it's been going. 14,000 words. Hey, you know what? That's consistency. We're 7 days in. That's 2,000 words a day. I think if I wasn't live streaming, my word count would be higher. But I have had so much fun writing in the live stream. I think that's a totally fair trade-off. Right now I'm at, you can see it down in this way, 7,400 words, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. The story is, you've heard of what the story's about. It's been nice and fun. I keep finding myself, and this is probably just because like my writing style, I have found myself dipping a little bit more into comedy than I originally thought I would for the tone of the novel. But I also think dynamics are important for your story, where you have these moments of fun lightheartedness that are then juxtaposed against the moments of seriousness. So instead of trying to like suppress writing these scenes of fun character interactions, I've been like letting them happen so that when these moments of tension happen, you can see the difference in how all the characters act. And so far, that's been a good call, I think. Also, I'm at the beginning of the novel. The knowledge, the information that I have about these early couple thousand words of my novel are probably going to be very different by the time I reach the end of the book. About whether or not I want to lean more into comedy, whether or not I want this to be more of a serious, take itself seriously kind of book. So I think it's important in those early couple thousand words, those early chapters, follow your heart when it comes to the writing, because you never know what's going to change by the end of the. I wish I could do comedy. I'm apparently unfunny. I don't believe you. For a bit. Comedy is hard to write. There is definitely a skill to writing comedy, for sure. And it's a skill that like, oh, it's tough. Because if you miss the mark of comedy, very apparent. But if it makes you laugh when you're writing it, there's someone out there who's going to laugh reading it. That's it. No matter how funny you are, you're probably going to write a scene and someone else is going to pick up that book, read that scene, and be like, okay. And that's the full reaction that you'll get. But also in the sense of like, okay, you learned how to write comedy. You also have to learn to write romance, and you have to learn to write those moments of tension and learn to write those big, exciting actions. So the more practice you get, the better. Don't shy away from the comedy, Coral. Embrace the comedy. Embrace it. Got sarcasm down pat. Hey, sarcasm is comedy. Still works. Still works. A couple sort of groundskeeping things. Very first thing. This live stream is sponsored in part to, with partnership with Pro Writing Aid. I gotta figure out how to phrase that. And it's because of them and their partnership with this channel that you don't have to be bombarded by ads during the live stream. That's important to me. So shout out Pro Writing Aid. We're gonna talk about editing in this stream a little bit later, and I would love to hear some of your thoughts around tonight, the big night, it's finally happening. Carson and me will be on the writing quest with Coral Sands. We'll be doing a lot of fun Q&A, chatting about stories. I highly recommend you come and join us. Find more information in the Discord. Woohoo! That will be this evening. I believe 6:30 is the start of the stream. If you want to confirm for me, writing quest, that is Central. And yeah, we'll put some information in the Discord. If you are having issues with your writing, or if you feel like you really want to lock down on your story for Novella November, whether it's the process of writing, you can look at my book coaching services, see if that interests you, where you can have someone sort of along the ride with you as you plan and write your novel. The first meeting is free, as we understand what the deliverables are and what you're going to get out of book coaching and if it fits for you. And then after that, I'm part of your planning process. I'm part of your writing process. I am giving you feedback on the stuff that you write. I am reading what you write so that we can guide your story in the best way possible. Same thing for developmental editing. I'm in your corner. Developmental editing's for after you have finished your manuscript, pretty much. Maybe it's the first, second, third draft. And you're still trying to optimize it into the kind of story that you want to tell. Maybe you feel like something's missing. Maybe you're not sure if something works. Developmental editing is you providing me your entire manuscript. I read that entire manuscript and we sit down for a 2-hour meeting where I break down your story in the way that you see in all my videos, and we talk about how to strengthen the parts of your book that you love. We talk about the moments that maybe aren't as impactful as you want them to be and how to make them more impactful. And you can take all of that advice and choose whether or not to apply it to your story. You can find that on writingtheory.com. On my website, writing-theory.com/coaching, or click the big red coaching button. I think that is everything. Which means today it's all about putting words on the page. And that's what we doing. That is what we doing. Coral. Let me pull up my Discord here. Let me see. If that image you put together has the time for tonight. No, okay. I am going to, if you don't mind, do you mind if I share this image in the Discord? And we can write up a little announcement right now about Writing Quest tonight? Go for it. Let's go. All right. That over here in the browser. Loving it. Very well designed. Good job, Coral. Do a quick little save. Throw it on the desktop. Carson Long _1. Gotta love it. I'm sure I could have copied it. Let's put this up before we might forget or something. Make sure it's out there. Carson Long _1. What a great image. Hello, everyone. Night is the night. Live stream. Art by And let's type this up. We said we're going 6:30 Central. So here is a pro tip. I'll do this over here so we can all see it. Anyone in the Discord, pro tip. Let me open up a new window here. When I'm posting in the Discord, time zones are insane. It is so hard to deal with time zone, right? So there is something called hammertime.cyu. And there is a Discord version of this bot, but in case you're interested, I like to put our time values in. Once I discovered this, I choose to do it now. In a way that everyone who views it sees the local time for them, right? So hammertime.cu, you go in here, you can say whether or not you're going to be picking a specific date, month, day, year, hour. All of that stuff can be presented in different formats. This timestamp that you post in the Discord is converted into any of these different formats depending on which one you copy. So if you need the month, day, time, year, all of that stuff, or even relative things where it just says in about 30 minutes, you can do that. I found this to be super beneficial. Come over here and say 6:30 p.m. And then when I grab this specific time code, doesn't matter what day we're talking about here, this timestamp will now be presented in the local time zone for anyone who sees it. So that's big for anyone who is working in the Discord. So I copy that, go over here. Live stream starts at, paste that in. Time is in your local time zone. Let's have a blast. All right, I think that's everything. Nice, now featuring the writing. Be a big blast, all about writing. Change this bit to hope to see you and send that bad boy out. Look at that. Cool, that's up. Check that off the list. Let's go. And then that brings us to writing. All right. I think there's probably nothing left to do but to do it. You know what I'm saying? So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put 20 minutes on our writing time. I'm going to turn up that lo-fi music. I'm going to turn off the microphone. We're going to get words down on the page. Let's do the thing. All right, I will see you on the other side. Let's be productive. Let's go. Just like that. 20 minutes down of productive writing. Just like that. It's so easy. As long as you can get down in front of that computer, just like when you're going to exercise, as long as you can get to the gym, that part is easy, right? You get to the gym, you start working out, not writing. You start working out, you're already there. Might as well do it, right? With writing, as long as you can get in front of that computer, it is easy to put some words down. How do we do? What kind of word counts did we get here? Let me update mine. We are at 8132. I know. Blinked and it was over. I feel the same way. That's a fast 20 minutes. 536 words. Nice. I'm finally at the point of my story. I've set the groundwork for the location. I've set the groundwork for how these characters interact with each other. And now I can finally get to the most fun part of any murder mystery story. We're about to find the body. The inciting incident that kicks off the rest of the novel. It only took 8,000 words to get there. There have been moments that I've been writing this where I've been like in my head, come on, let's get to the good part, right? Don't bore us, get to the chorus, get to the inciting incident. And in some cases, I did try to streamline that. But for the most part, this is the proto draft. In another life, maybe I would choose to cut out content and try to just get the core of the story down. But in this case, I'm allowing myself to write in a more just kind of like open way. And then if I need to trim it down in editing, if it feels like the intro takes too long, I can address that when I edit. Coral says, my main character wants to go into a building to confirm whether her mom is alive, and it's a bad idea. Woo! But she doesn't know it. She doesn't know it. Oh, you're setting up for a tense scene. Atariel says, good job, you too. I just joined a few minutes ago. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. It's a chill chat today. Lo-fi music. We got plenty of writing time. Goes fast. Goes fast. You put your head down, then you got 700 words 20 minutes later. Oh man. Here's a question. Is it Atariel or Atariel? Or do you still go by Frey? Are you Frey in the chat? Let me know. I want to make sure I pronounce names right. So, Coral, when you're writing your story, how graphic are you letting it be? How graphic are you going? Ray, welcome to the live stream. Because I know Coral's writing a horror, maybe not horror story specifically, but a very tense. Maybe that's the best way to say it. How would you categorize your story? Coral and Frey, yeah, let me know what are you writing any stories right now? Did you start a new story for Novella November, or are you working on something that you've already been writing? Oh, my second option of the pronunciation. Oh god, I need to watch the VOD now. I need to go back to the recording, the instant replay. Atariel, I think is what I said. Pretty name. Not sure it's horror, but definitely has horror elements. Would classify it as paranormal fiction. Nice. You know, genres are tough. Because, like, you could write a great story, but you could tell people it's this genre, and if that genre isn't truly representative of what you wrote, readers are going to be, discombobulated, right? Readers are going to be a little confused. Genre is an important thing, and you really have to think about how you want to kind of market that story as. Like, For example, if I tell you I'm writing a murder mystery, there's lots of different flavors of that kind of thing. Is it going to be like a Sherlock Holmes, we have a detective with great detective skills? Or is it going to be a story like, I don't know, maybe like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Or we have someone who's just like out to get the justice. Maybe they're not the most observant. Maybe they're not the most deductive, right? And so presenting that genre is an important choice you, the author, has to make sure readers know what they are getting into. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it may change when you edit it, for sure. A lot can happen in the editing process. A lot can happen. We got a couple writers here. I have a question for our writers in chat. When you are writing your very first draft, what I would call the proto draft, right? When you are just putting your words down on page, do you put any thoughts towards the trying to edit it or fine tune your words? Or do you just write and get it all down? How much of your idea, or how much of your focus is on words that you've already written versus what you're about to write? Working on a few work in progress of mine. I just want to get some words down, but I do concentrate on mystery stories right now. All right. Oh, hello. All right. We got Gabe here saying, definitely thinking about nice prose. Brownie Quest, no, I just want to write to get it down. I personally, as the advocate for the proto draft, since that is like my brand, I am all about progress. And I just know if I was to sit down and start editing things as I'm doing this proto draft, it's going to slow me down so much. But I also know other people like to, write like a chapter and then go back and edit it and make it look a bit nicer, a little bit cleaner. And I know some people that will be sort of writing their first draft of a story and cleaning up chapters because they're sharing their story chapter by chapter to other people for feedback. Carl says, just writing stuff down as well. Later comes the edit, or I end up rereading the sentences so much that they all seem wrong. Hashtag relatable. Oh, I get that. If I edit, I'll never get it done. Yeah, I do not go out of my way in any regard to try to clean up my story. But I've been considering, I think that you kind of do need to bring your story to a certain level of polish before you want to share it with people. I just know if I was to, let's say, write Act 1 of my story and get like 20% of my story down, my inciting incident, my character interactions, if I was to spend time editing that and polishing it up, I just don't think all of that content is actually going to make it to my final edits. I am planning, even right now, as I'm writing this beginning of my story, to go back and make a bunch of different changes. So I wish I could write my proto draft at some sort of state that's closer to the final draft and just get it right on the first try. But I just think it can be so much better if I put something down as just like trying it out and give myself room to change it later. I read this writing book called How to Be a Dictator. First off, great title. Makes you click on it. How to Be a Dictator, of this author named Kevin J. Anderson, I believe, who writes all of their first drafts through dictation, right? They have a tape recorder and they just speak their story into it. So they take a note card and they say, all right, here's this chapter that I need to dictate. Here is where it starts, like kind of what's happening at the beginning of it. Here's where it needs to end, because they've done planning and plot frameworks and stuff like that. And here are some important points I need to hit. And then they just go out walking through the mountains, going hiking with a little tape recorder, and they speak out that entire chapter. If you could do that, think about this. If you could do that and have that be your, like, pretty close to your final draft, Could you imagine how many different stories you could tell? That would be insane. Goals. Now that guy's been doing it for like 20 to 40 years or something like that. So he's kind of developed that skill. But man, if I could just tell my stories right off the top of my head as I'm walking around and have them be fairly close to that final draft, I think I'd be a millionaire. Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's a little dramatic. Maybe that's a little dramatic. All right. I think it's about time we tackle our next 20 minutes. Get that lo-fi music going. Get another couple hundred words. Katie, hello, welcome to the chat. It's a chill stream today. Glad to have you here. Tariel says, I would end up yapping in my recorder. Oh, the super yapper. And not get one good sentence done. Could you imagine? Could you imagine going out hiking, speaking 4 chapters into existence, and then sitting down and being like, oh no, this is garbage. What have I done? Oh, that would hurt. Yeah, no chaos today. Chill day. I'm reserving my chaos for the writing quest stream this evening. I'm storing my chaos to present it at a later time today. One man only has so much internal chaos. Oh man. All right. Let's do some writing. I am turning the mic off, lo-fi on. Good luck, everyone. right, everyone, the second sprint is done. It's that easy. It's that easy. How'd everyone do? How did everyone do? Let's see, I'm at 8750 now. 8750. Nina, welcome to the chat. If you haven't seen a writing stream before, so with Writing Theory, if you hop over into our Discord, there's a link down below. With Writing Theory, we're doing a Novella November. Just an excuse to really focus on trying to make progress in either a new story that you started in November or something that you're already working on. And the cool thing is there's a lot of people involved in the event, right? In the whole community. This is like an unaffiliated, we're not partnered with any other bigger organization. But the cool thing is that all the people in the community who are choosing to do this Novella November, we're all writing. And we're all going through the same challenges and having the same questions and sharing our progress. And it's been super fun. So in our case, Novella November, right? The live streams here, normally they kick off with a bang and we do something really fun. And then they turn into just a productive way to put your head down, listen to some lo-fi music, do some writing, and then take a little break and talk about your progress. Like, Writing Quest got 600 words in that 20 minutes, and Etereal got 320 words, and all you did was show up to the live stream and have a good time. That's the writing live streams. You'll find other things like this. I know that we have there are some bigger writing YouTubers that'll do like a Friday ride-along. Katie got 454 words. Let's go. That's awesome. Some other YouTubers will do like a Friday ride-along or have little live streams going on. For Novella November, we are doing live streams 5 days a week. This is week number, technically 2 because we started on Friday, but everyone's making progress and all of those word counts are going up and everyone's getting to these really fun parts of their stories. And then every time we have a break, it's a chance to share your progress, ask any questions, ask for advice. If you have anything like that you want to talk about, that's all the writing stream is. Today's a chill one. We got lots of good words here. Lots of good word counts. Katie, 454, not bad. So Nino, if you want to check out the Discord, there's a link down below. You can come join there. It's not too late if you want to do some writing with the live stream stuff and share your progress and your story ideas and your characters and all kinds of good stuff. Welcome to Writing Theory. Love it. All right. All right. Lots of good words here. Lots of good words. I think I'm at that point in my story where, you know, I really want to do this part of the story right. Even though it's the first try, and I know I'm going to edit it, and I might change it and everything. But I feel like for a mystery, kind of like murder mystery story for what I'm doing, the scene where your character, like, discovers the body, pretty important. Kay says, I decided I need to add a scene. I'm going to have the inciting incident be the chess scene from the short story. Oh, awesome. For a murder mystery, right? Also an inciting incident, right? Just like how Katie's talking about their inciting incident. The inciting incident for a murder mystery is almost always the same. It's, here's our character, here's this body that was found. Now, what are the questions that arise that are going to lead us through the travels for like the rest of the novel, right? There's got to be enough of a question about this inciting incident that it means like there's kind of no way we can decide to just walk away. That's an important thing. You'll see that in like, what was the book? I think it was John McKee. Right, no, that's Robert McKee. Who was the one who did The Art of Fiction? John Gardner. One of the things I really like from John Gardner's Art of Fiction book is that they talk about whatever your inciting incident needs to have enough impact that there's not really a choice your character has to just not go on with the story, right? To not decide to pursue that inciting incident. That's why when you see like in fantasy, right? Like the Wheel of Time has an inciting incident where like bandits storm this village and everyone's after, you know, these characters. Well, of course, life is totally altered when your village is burned and, you know, your parents are in danger and your life is in danger and you're going to be chased, right? How do we bring that same thing over to a mystery novel like that? That's what I'm thinking about right now. Atario says, Carson, do you have a certain strategy when it comes to plan out mystery stories, be it murder, theft, anything, with many possible suspects and their own goals? I think that the first thing, here's the thing, is like I am not the most experienced mystery writer, which meant I had to do a lot more research in order to write this story than I would have done for like a fantasy or science fiction story, which I feel much more at home writing that sort of like traditional style story in there. So let me tell you about what I did, because I do think there are some very important things you have to hit on. And this is based on research of my favorite mystery stories that I do know and read. This is also based on going through tvtropes.org, a website that I love to use as a resource. And there are just some elements of a mystery novel that are almost necessary. So let me show you what I did for my planning. This is one of the things I love about the live stream. And also just because like there are some writers that are in this mindset of if I show you what I write, then maybe you're gonna steal it. I am very much not like that. I'm gonna be super transparent about what I'm like. Literally my whole book is gonna be up on the stream throughout this course of this month. But anyways, let's talk about that. So the very first thing I did, Atario, was I did a plot dump. And one thing, it's really funny, one thing I even want to point out here, this plot dump, as I was just writing about the kind of story I wanted to tell, what kind of twists we might hit. Very first thing is, I completely changed the name of my characters. So like some of these things in here are just like not even right. Like my main character in the plot dump was Chris Pollard. And I was like, I don't really like that. So now it's Adam Harlow. And there's all, okay, anyways. But I went through here and there were a couple things that I knew I wanted to have. The first thing is, I think every good mystery, of course you have the red herrings and you have the obvious suspect. And whether or not you're watching a mystery movie, whether or not you're watching a serialized TV show, these are the things I really like to study because they're addictive storytelling. Whether or not it is a mystery book that you just pick up off the shelf and read, kind of the appeal of having like these red herrings, the obvious suspect that it turns out it's not them, is that you're crafting a certain reading experience. And with mystery, the cool thing is that the reader is involved in trying to solve the mystery, right? Versus like Lord of the Rings, if you're reading Lord of the Rings, you're not trying to solve anything, you're just along for the ride. But what makes mystery interesting is that the reader is also sitting over here thinking, who did this thing? And maybe more importantly, in my case, I'm more interested in how did this thing happen and how was it covered up, right? So in this case here, your question says, do you have a certain strategy when it comes out to plan out mystery stories? The number one thing is, I read a piece of advice and I cannot remember where it was, but you need to sit down and write out the crime and have all the details in the crime. And I don't think you have to work backwards like this, but I went over here and I wrote a synopsis of who the killer is, what their motivations are, why there's been some conflict that's risen in intensity, what mental effects have caused that killer to eventually make the decision to kill, and then exactly how it happened. And that includes how the killer tried to cover it up, what clues they might have inadvertently made or missed during the crime. This was just like a very clear synopsis of what the actual crime is. Am I gonna write this synopsis in my story? God, no. That would be boring. That would be terrible. But having a defined, like, here's the order of events, you don't even really need like this portfolio on who the killer is and why they're chosen to kill. But having like this defined series of events, putting it down like this also meant I was able to create another document of the clues. These are all of the elements that I'm gathering, both in the events of the crime, that could be used by my main characters to stumble across and try to start piecing things together. Let me give you an example. So in my crime, which happens out at sea, our killer, unfortunately, kills someone. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! But in efforts to cover up the crime, they sink the other person's boat. I'm just kind of glossing over things here. In order, because this is an active place where other boats are coming and going, in order to try to make this happen as quickly as possible, they went through and they smashed all the windows. They shot a hole into the hull of the boat to try to get this thing to sink as quickly as possible so they wouldn't be discovered, right? So then when this boat is eventually discovered, all of these steps that the killer took to try to have this boat sink faster point to further signs that this was a premeditated thing, or this was an aggressive act, right? This boat didn't sink on its own. Somehow all of these windows were broken. Somehow there is this, hole in the hull. There's got to be a better way to see it. Got to be, hello, Blazako. Welcome to the live stream. Now, I made a list of both things directly from the crime that could be found as clues by my people. This doesn't mean I'm using all of them, but also a list of other things not directly related to the crime that could be used by my people. So for example, my story takes place in a real location, Whittier, Alaska. The other day, I was curious about what the weather was in Whittier, Alaska. So I looked up, does Whittier have any webcams that are just out there for people to see the weather? And they do. They had multiple. And then that made me think, oh, what if that came up in the story somehow when our characters are kind of stuck on what happened that day, and someone mentions this webcam and it causes our character to be like, oh, I wonder if there's we could view that. And then that gives them a teeny tiny little clue that they can work off of. Just like nothing directly tied to the crime or the killer, but a location thing. And I think your clues can come into a couple different aspects there. What clues were actively left by the killer? What clues can be discovered that aren't a direct correlation to the actions, but just present in the location? Because not every clue needs to be the same. Not every clue needs to be, and then our killer did this, and then our killer forgot this, and then our killer messed up when they did this. So I'm kind of trying to piece together sort of like an inventory, if you will, of possible things I could use as the breadcrumbs to finding the killer. Now, when it comes to how that happens, and for those who aren't writing a mystery, you can still use this information just as ways to think about your story differently, right? When it comes to how I want this whole thing to unfold, how I want the main characters to eventually find and confront the killer, because every good mystery has, we found the body, we don't know who the killer is, we know who the killer is, and a confrontation. If you're missing that confrontation, you're really missing out. Anyways, so I went and I found this plot framework, and it's not very detailed. Specifically, I wasn't looking for a detailed one. I wanted something that was unique to mystery, that I could bring my understanding from writing other stories to, and would let me sort of adjust things based on how I wanted to tell the story. So this framework by, it seems like author Zara Altair, I just Googled and I ended up finding, breaks down the mystery into 4 different parts. The setup of your novel, what's the location, who are our characters, the discovery, right? We found the body. Now, how did this happen? Clue, clue, clue. We're getting closer. We hit a brick wall. What do we do next? The funnel, part 3, which is finding the one clue that just seems to paint everything in a different light, right? So okay, well, we know something strange about this killing, but we don't quite know why, how, what happened. But then we discover a piece of information that changes what we knew and gives us the direction moving forward. Right? That was the funnel. And in this page, I don't know if I have the URL right here somewhere. In this page, they also have little bits of information like in part 2, the discovery phase, you want to explore the victim's world. You want to find evidence and clues. You want to identify suspects. You want to interview suspects. I took some of these. I got rid of some of them to kind of better fit my story. So I'm using this rough framework. I really like the idea of the first half of the novel just being asking questions, discovering questions. And I like the idea that the second half of the novel is not asking as many questions, but is more like a domino effect of now that we have this answer, that unlocks this next answer. And now that we've answered this thing, that unlocks this other piece of information that was prohibiting us from moving forward, right? Like a domino effect. I liked that idea. That's what I'm trying to do in my story. As for strategies about what clues are going to be found first, I'm sort of letting the actions of my main characters kind of guide that. I planned out, if I go back to my plot framework, I took those 4 parts and story beats and put them into this table. Not following it religiously, but I am kind of using it to organize things. I'm kind of letting my characters, once they have a core set of information, I'm kind of letting myself and my characters discover what happens next. What does it make sense to do next? As of right now, just planning the novel, I don't have a for sure idea for when we should find that sunken boat. For when we should start to suspect this character versus that character. I'm letting myself sort of discover some of these elements. What do I have planned already? I have sort of a main conflict of the novel that is correlated with the killing. In Whittier, Alaska, you have people who live locally who go out to fish, and that's their livelihood. But also, when the season gets nice, we have, in this story, I don't know if this is a real thing or not, we have corporations that are starting to hire fishermen to go out into the same area, stay in campers, which there is a campground over there, and go out into the water and fish those same waters for profit. Now, the thing is, the local fishermen are doing this because that's their livelihood. If they catch fish, they make a living. If they don't catch fish, they don't make that living. Versus these people who are coming in and essentially taking these resources from the local people, they're getting paid a flat salary for the fish that they caught and the proceeds to go to this company. And I'm creating a very conflicting ideology of these two people. And then that's been sort of the core us versus them theme of the whole novel. And that is going to be something that is, we find out about the town that does correlate with the killing. So this is kind of like the whole idea that I'm going into this for. There are plenty of specific details I'm going to let myself discover as I write. And there are some inventory of clues that I'm letting myself pull from as I write. I hope that makes some sense. Probably not a framework that you can apply to any story as like an exact match, but it's a different way of thinking about how you want to set it up. Other authors may say, I'm going to create my killer and fully flesh them out, planning before the novel, and I'm going to create my red herring suspect and fully plan them out before the events of the novel, and then purposely write them in to put them in like this. I am going to have an obvious suspect. I just don't know who it's going to be yet. And you know what? Thank God for editing. Justin, welcome to the chat. I just talked a whole lot. Glad you're here, though. Anyone else have any questions about your story? Any sort of things you want to discuss? Things that you are curious about, want a second opinion on? Oh, really made some things click in your head? I'm so glad. I love discussing like story theory. Hence, writing theory, right? That's the whole thing. Especially when it comes to like, everyone's writing process is so different. The long comment was based on The Lord of the Rings when I mentioned it 20 minutes ago. I see ya. I love discussing story, and I also love getting other people's ideas on story. So, Atariel, if you have a different approach to how you're planning your novel, something that you feel really worked for you, I would love to hear it in chat. I love this kind of stuff. Blazako, are you still here, and are you going to do some writing today, or are you just hanging out for a bit? Katie says, okay, so recommendations on the scene I'm writing. It's currently written from the third person limited of one character, but I'm going to shift it to the protagonist. Are you going to shift your whole story, or are you just going to shift that scene? And do you mean you're going to shift from third person to first person? Guitarial, I have a great link in the description for you to use to go grab a free 30-day trial of Scrivener. And you don't even have to put in, I don't think, any credit card information. I think you just download the program and you can use it for 30 days without, it's just the full program for 30 days. And the best part, it's 30 active days. So it's you opening the program on 30 different days, not 30 days from the day you download and install it. Meaning you could use it for the entirety of November. How about that? Wow. Wow, what a time. Case as a scene, I'm going to shift from her dad's perspective to her perspective. YouTube's character limits. Those dang YouTube character limits. I feel ya. Well, you know what? As long as you repeat your perspective shift at later points in your writing, that sounds great. I would not recommend having one perspective switch and then never doing it again. That would be confusing to the reader. Something to keep in mind. All right. I think we got one more 20-minute sprint. Okay, says, what do you mean? What I mean is, if you are writing a 70,000 word story, 50,000 word story, and 10,000 words, then you do a little perspective switch from your main protagonist to someone else, and then you come back and you never do it again in your story, then that one moment feels really out of place. Versus if you're writing a story and there are multiple different moments where switching the perspective gives you the reader more information and lets them experience the scene in a different way, that's now the style of your book. Versus one instance where the perspective switched, that feels more like an outlier than a style of story. Right? That would be like if I opened up a live stream with me shredding on guitar, and then I never talked about guitar or ever played guitar on live stream again, it would be like, wow, that was an outlier, what he did. Versus if every single live stream I opened up with me playing some guitar for everyone, it would be like, oh, Carson's live streams are music driven. And he's sharing songs with us, and that's part of his style, right? I wonder if that's ever happened. Yeah. Ethereal, Scrivener is a huge, I think, I'll sell this to you very quickly, because I've already done, there's been past live streams where I've talked about, Scrivener and shown sort of the different features. Scrivener, really good at organizing files into different ways. And amazing, the number one thing that it does is being able to say, okay, you've written your story. Here's one button to click. Downloading it right now. I love it. Here's one button to click where it's going to compile your story either into a PDF or an ebook that you can go ahead and put on your Kindle and start reading and editing into a bunch of different formats. It definitely is the best at that output. But maybe the number one thing I like about Scrivener is you pay for it once. It's not a subscription. You pay I think it's maybe $60 US. And you have it forever. And you never have to pay any more. It's yours. It's yours to do. And I think you get 2, maybe 3 installations from the little key that they give. So if you like to write on your laptop sometimes versus on a desktop other times, I really like that. And I will always support companies that will let you just buy a piece of software. But I will keep my ranting to a minimum. Okay, says, later in the story, I'm changing perspective between the protagonist and the villain. I want there to be this through line during their dueling perspectives. That sounds really cool. That sounds like a great idea. All right. I think if we put our heads down and write for 20 more minutes, then at the end of this live stream, we will have written for an hour. And that's awesome. And that's awesome. All right, it's time. I'm at a big pivotal scene, going out to find the body. I'm excited. Good writers create, great writers steal, 100%, 100%. Don't choose to not do something because someone else has done it. And if something has inspired you, use it. Big fan, big fan. All right, I'm gonna put 20 minutes on the counter. 20 minutes on the counter. Microphone going off, music going up. And then I'm gonna step out for a minute and I'll be right back. right, everyone. That is the last writing sprint. We're so productive. Look at us. Wow. Other live streams be jealous at the amount of productivity we have here. That's bonkers. How'd everyone do? What kind of word count did you get? We are now at 9205. Kitty got 461 words. Not bad, not bad. Writing Quest got another 698. Tara got 375. JPB 200 since you joined. Not even the full sprint. Wow. Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. There was a place in Whittier, Alaska, the place where this body is being found. Justin got a sandwich. I hope it's a good sandwich. There's a place where in Whittier, Alaska, got some good work done. Love it. Where in my story, the body is being found. And it's this place where when we did this wildlife cruise at Whittier, Alaska, not too far away from the docks, there was this cliffside. This cliffside of these gray rocks and like a 200-foot tall waterfall. And on this cliffside, there were, no lie, thousands of birds that had nested here. The rocks were just covered in bird poop. It was like a very fine line of like, oh, this waterfall is so pretty, but also there's birds all over it, and it's like not fun to look at. Very fine line, very tough. Kay says, I managed to get a view in Scrivener I like. I have the short story, the POV from the villain, and my protagonist POV open to get an idea how she reacts. Hey, nice. Nice doing all the additional editors. I like that. Now, I remember that cliffside, and I was going to write about it, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if that cliffside even has like an official name or something. And it does. And it's got a great name. It is the Kittiwake Rookery. Look at this. We'll see if I can find even better pictures. But for real, thousands of birds on this cliffside. And like a huge waterfall in the middle. And the boat can't get super close to that cliffside. I wonder if part of that's because of the birds, or the smell, or just the ocean. Tough to say, tough to say. One photo, love it. The Kittiwake Rookery. And first off, I think that name is awesome. I never would have thought about anything about a rookery, but that makes a lot of sense. See if I can pull this one up. The Kittiwake Rookery. We were still a couple 100 feet back, so we weren't super close to it, but you could definitely smell it. That's a beautiful picture. What about this one? What about this one? Here's it in context. See if I can get that one pulled. This is it in not a very great picture. In context, it's like this beautiful cliffside on the mountain, right? But when you get closer to it, it's just birds, and the noises are crazy. The rocks are highlighted white with their poop. How many times can one man say poop in a live stream? It's a good question. I'm glad you asked. So, washed up kind of against this cliffside is where our body is going to be found. So I had to go look up a picture so I could remind myself what this area kind of looked like. Because this was always kind of the plan for where the body was going. The Kittiwake Rookery. Here's one cool thing you can do with Scrivener. I can copy this image, open up Scrivener, go over to this new little file I've made called the Kittiwake Rookery, and just paste it in. it'll bring that photo in here. I can double click it and I can resize it to the size that I need because it doesn't need to be that big. And now I have this visual reference. Didn't have to download the image, just copy and pasted. There you go. Katie says, beauty in the macro, dirty reality in the micro. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's also been kind of a little element of our story. That Whittier is like this pretty place, but the more into the nooks and crannies you venture, the more that there's this like area of drama with all the people living together. And so now if you use Scrivener, you can paste that image in here. You can type in all the different things that you need to type in, and you have that forever. So if you wanted to, technically there is a way here where you could use this as a mood board. It would just mean that you don't really have a lot of capability when it comes to like moving these images around. They're all in line. So like when you type afterwards, it's right next to, you know. But you know what? I use the images here all the time. It isn't derivative enough. Oh man. All right, so all that updated. We are at 9,205 words over here. You know, if I didn't have a big video to edit, I think I'd keep writing. I think it's just like a chill day like that, you know? Especially if I could put on like whenever I'm doing this live stream, I can't hear the lo-fi music. I'm just hoping it's all still good. But later on today, I might throw on some noise canceling headphones. I have a playlist on Spotify that I found, I did not create, called Lo-Fi Video Games. And it's all lo-fi renditions of famous video game music, like the Pokemon songs from all the different games. And like there's one that goes so hard from Legend of Zelda. It comes on, I stop writing, and I'm just like, like they get it, they know. There's one from the Among Us soundtrack. That's like a hip hop lo-fi one. And I'm just over here like vibing. I'm just like, man, this song goes hard. And then I go back to writing. But otherwise, those are good. Katie says, I think this place also makes a good allegory for human intervention in nature. The more you dig into human intervention, the smell and the dirt gets to you. That's real. That's real. And, that's kind of the whole theme of Alaska. Right? Not even my book, but Alaska. Like, if you go visit Alaska, and I know we've had some people in the live streams and on the Discord who currently live out in Alaska, it is a totally different place. Like, I'm not the most well-traveled, but I worked for 4 years at a company where I was traveling 75% of the time. I've been to Africa and Europe and all these different places. I haven't made my way out to Asia. I'd like to. That'd be cool. Seen a lot of different places, and Alaska is one of a kind. There is like this, like, you think, like, I live out in rural, which is a tough one to say, rural Wisconsin, out in the middle of nowhere. I am in nature, for sure. But nature is just different in Alaska. It's different than going out to Colorado and seeing the mountains there. It's different than being in Utah. But I'm telling you, something about it. Lilith says, only joined 2 sprints ago, but got in 900 words. Let's go, Lilith. That's awesome. Congratulations. Lantern Valley says, editing time. It's like writing, but doing it again. And better. Interesting. Nature versus wilderness, for sure. For sure. Well, I never quite know how many people that, the live streams that I do later in the evening, right, for sort of like the US evening crowd, I always feel pretty confident in like how many people are going to show up, who's going to show up, and we have a blast. I never quite know. I'm still figuring out, what our typical audience is going to be for this different time slot of the live stream. But I think what I've quickly found out is the quantity of people in the live stream don't matter. What do you think I'm about to say? The quantity doesn't matter. What could possibly be next? The quality matters. And we have had some great people in chat today. I love hearing about your stories. I love hearing your progress. I love being able to chat with you all. This is one of the most fun things for me, and I feel very grateful that we can just be in here having a good time. If you haven't already done it, post your progress that you made today over in the Discord. Share it with everyone. You should be proud whether you wrote 200 words, 900 words, you sat down and you did your writing. If you keep writing today, you're going to make even more great progress. And if you can't keep writing today, then you have already done a great job. I love it. Yeah, Aterio says, well, the other live streams are at 1 or 2 a.m. for me. I totally get it. And that's exactly why I do these live streams. I totally get it. And, I have found that we have a lot of really great people not in the U.S. And so I try my best to kind of to acknowledge that and to do some fun things in this kind of time. So I think it's just fun. Oh yeah, Writing Quest says, and the chat continues tonight at 6:30 p.m. Central. That's our normal time slot for the other live streams just about. We are doing the Writing Quest live stream tonight with the guest author, yours truly, author of Starlight Farm's Kennel for Talking Dogs, link in the description below. A cozy fantasy story that includes magic, a farm, and some talking dogs. It is like a big hug. Hopefully you will cry happy tears. The dog does not die. I would not do that to you, them, or me. It is a great little weekend read. It's not the perfect book. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the perfect book. There's a lot of things I would have done differently. But I will say I enjoyed the book. I am proud of the characters. I can say that I had a big old smile on my face when I was writing it, and I hope you have a big old smile on your face while you're reading. There is a post in the Discord for the Writing Quest stuff. I made it in the announcement post. Like I said, I know for a lot of people it'll be late when we do that live stream, but if you can join, feel free to. We'll be doing a bunch of Q&A, talking about writing, all that stuff. Writing Quest says they totally smiled when reading it. That's the goal. That's the goal. Like I said, not perfect. I think I'd like to do like sort of a breakdown live stream in the near future, talking about the writing process of that book. I have this little story breakdown that I wrote that I can share as a PDF if anyone's interested. And talking about, there's a couple key things we can definitely talk about. To wrap up the live stream, shout out to Pro Writing Aid for sponsoring with and partnering with me for these live streams. I use Pro Writing Aid. I talk about it all the time. I've been a lifetime subscriber for 4 years, almost 5 years. And I reached out to them, and they were kind enough to work with me. That is awesome. They've been a big believer in writing theory ever since I had like 1,000 subscribers, and that's mind-blowing. I love using Pro Writing Aid. I have it on as I'm working with Scrivener. It has a native integration you can use if you're just trying out Scrivener. If you happen to already have Pro Writing Aid, you can download the Everywhere extension. It integrates perfectly in here. You can get a free trial with all that. You can follow my link in the description for 10% off if you ever decide to upgrade that. And then tonight, Writing Quest, be there or be square. You know the deal. It's going to be a ball. And I'm going to be out there trying to make people laugh and trying to, there's like this value. It's like cool to cringe. I'm going to be right in that line, baby. Right in the line. I will see you there 6:30 Central Time. And that's all I got for everyone. Thank you for joining. I will be doing these same live streams, these same time slots, Tuesday and Thursday. Next week, it is going all throughout the month of November. If you can't watch the live streams in person, there's a playlist below with all the recorded ones you can join as well. Thank you, everyone. I will see you around the Discord, and hopefully I will also see you tonight. All right, everyone, take care. Take care. Goodbye. I got to find the button to end the live stream. Hello. Yes. I appreciate everyone here. You're all the bomb. You're all the best. Party on. Like Justin says, goodbye, everyone. I'm going to go eat lunch.